Okay, today let's go to another very important topic, that is the derivation of the slope of the budget set or budget line, sorry. And the consumer's behavior is studied through two approaches. There are two approaches which can explain the consumer's behavior. One is cardinal approach, another one is ordinal approach. Cardinal approach is one where the utilities are measured with the cardinal numbers like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and so on. Here it is assumed that the utilities can be measured. And this cardinal approach was advocated by Alfred Marshall, and that's why it is called the Marshallian analysis of the consumer's behavior. In the cardinal approach, we have a single commodity model, and this cardinal approach has been criticized on various grounds, mainly on the assumption that utility is measurable. Since utility is subjective and it is a psychological factor, you cannot measure the utilities in proper way. Say for example, when you eat a mango, it is assumed that mango yields 10 utils of utility. That cannot be. It is incorrect to assume that this commodity gives so much of utilities. So, the ordinal approach is an improvement over the Marshallian cardinal approach. The ordinal approach has been advocated by two economists, J.R. Hicks and R.G.D. Allen. That's why this analysis is called Hicksian analysis, wherein the utilities are not measured in terms of cardinal numbers, they are ranked according to the preference of the consumer. Rank like first rank, second rank, third rank, like that. And in cardinal approach, there will be 3 after 2, but there will not be 71 after 70. 90, a person who has taken 90 marks might have taken first rank, but the other man who has taken 70, he gets second rank, as there is no other man in between this. So, ordinal approach is that approach where the utilities are ranked according to the preference. And we assume 2 commodities model in the ordinal approach. And in the cardinal approach, we have studied the law of diminishing marginal utility. Here in the ordinal approach, we study the indifference curve analysis. The indifference curve analysis requires 2 important things, that is the budget line and the indifference curve. And it is explained that the consumer attains equilibrium, maximum equilibrium, when the budget line is tangent to the indifference curve. Budget line is a line which touches both the axes, x-axis and y-axis, but the indifference curve doesn't touch, and it is convex to the origin. It's not concave to the origin because of diminishing marginal rate of substitution, DMRS. That will be made known after this class. Anyway, today we should know how to derive the budget line. Before knowing, we should know what is budget line. It is a line which indicates, or it is a graphical representation of different combinations which can be purchased by a consumer with his income and at the existing prices. You must know the difference between budget set and budget line. Budget set refers to the set or the collection or the different combinations of two goods which can be purchased by a consumer with his income at the given prices. It includes both the types of combinations, that means those combinations whose cost is lesser than the budget, that is the income, and whose cost is equal to the income. So the budget set includes these two types of combinations, whereas the budget line consists of those combinations whose cost is equal to the income of the consumer. Please understand, that is why the formula of budget set is M is lesser than or equal to P1 x1 plus P2 x2. That is the budget set. M1 P1 x1 plus P2 x2. And M is equal to P1 x1 plus P2 x2. Please understand. So these are the formulae of budget set and budget line. This is the formula of budget set, wherein M is lesser than or equal to P1 x1 P2 x2. Here M is equal to P1 x1 P2 x2. That's the difference. See, the difference is a slight difference. That means budget set includes both the types of combinations, wherein one combination whose cost is lesser than the income and another combination whose cost is equal to the income. And those combinations whose cost is lesser than the income lie below the budget line, and those combinations whose cost is equal to income, they lie on the budget line. So that's the difference. But here in budget line, only those combinations whose cost is equal to the income. And this is depicted through this table. Here there are three columns. One is, it consists of the combinations of two goods. And the income, it is assumed that the income of the consumer is 20 rupees. And the cost of x1 and x2 is measured here. And the cost must be equal to the income of the consumer. See, in the beginning, the first combination is the consumer uses no x1, uses only 4 x2 units. Here 1 x1, 3 x2s, 2 x1 and 2 x2s, 3 x1 and 1 x2, 4 x1, no x2s. So these are the combinations. The cost of these combinations is equal to the income of the consumer. Here you see he is using 4 x2s, that does mean no x1, 20, the cost of this 20, it is equal to 20 income. Here 1 x1, 3 x2s, 5 plus 15, 20. 2 x1, 2 x2s, 10 plus 10, that is 20. Here 3 x1, 15, 1 x2, that is 5, 20. And 20, 4 x1, 20, and no x2s, that is 20. Here the cost of these two goods is equal to the income of the consumer. With the help of this, you can draw the diagram. So this is OX, this is OY, and X1 are measured along OX axis and X2s are measured along OY axis. Please understand, X1 are measured along OX axis and X2s are measured along OY axis. Now just say 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So X's are measured along OY axis, X2s are measured along OY axis, and X1 are measured along OX axis. Now take up this. Here the consumer uses only X2s and no X1s. So you just mark here. Come here, 1 X1, 3 X2s, 2, 2, 3, 1, 4, 0. You just join all these points. This is called, you write A, B, that is the BL. BL means budget line. Budget line slopes downwards. It slopes downwards. What does it mean? It means as a consumer goes on consuming more of one commodity, he sacrifices the other commodity. He has to give up the use of other commodity. When he was using OA of X2 commodity, he was not at all using any X1 commodity. When he was using OB of X1 commodity and no X2s are used. That's how. So when he substitutes one for the other, he cannot have equal number of all the commodities. So here when he wants to have one commodity more, he has to give up the other commodity. That's the thing. Now let's come to know how to derive the budget line. See, the formula of budget line is this: P1 X1 plus P2 X2 is equal to M, wherein the price of X1 is P1, X1 is quantity of X1 and price of X2 is P2 and quantity of X2 is X2 is equal to, that means the cost of these two goods must be equal to the income of the consumer. Now you know that the consumer goes on substituting one good for another good. There will be changes. When he increases the use of one commodity, there will be decrease in the use of another commodity. And that is depicted in delta. Delta X1 and here delta X2. So it is written P1 in bracket X1 plus delta X1 plus P2 X2 plus delta X2 is equal to M. That is equation number 2. This is the equation number 1. And subtracting 1 from 2, you take out those things, that is what's that, P1 X1, P2 X2, you subtract 1 from M, we get P1 delta X, P1 delta X1 plus P2 delta X2 is equal to M. That's the equation number 3. By rearranging, we get, when we rearrange this, you take all these X's on one side and P's on other side. So you will get delta x2. You take here delta x2 divided by delta x1 is equal to, now when you take this p from this side to this side, it becomes minus. When you take this from this side to this side, it becomes minus p1 divided by p2, that is 4. And slope is minus p1 divided by p2. It is negatively sloped because you find the minus sign. So that is why the budget line is downward sloping. It is not upward sloping. Please understand. So you have to explain what is budget line, and you have to write the formula of both the budget set and budget line, and then you have to write the table. Along with the help of this table, you have to draw the diagram, right? And see, here it is shown this is x, x1, x2, and this is delta x2, this is delta x1. It means here, to have more of delta x2, that is to have x2, more of x2, you will have to sacrifice x1. That is why the budget line slopes downwards. Thank you very much.